Ooh. You see the eyes moving? This is Better Days, episode 3. We are discussing the band known as Tool with my visual aids. This is how old we are. We have the actual CD of it.
Yeah, kids, that's what they call a CD. And back then, the artwork was like a big deal because artwork existed. Because you can't do artwork for an MP3. I guess it's not even MP3s anymore, but
this, man, this was next level.
it was impressive.
I think they won an award for this.
The artwork or
I
the
think
music?
so. I think the artwork.
We are not fans of the music. We just like the covers of the albums.
Right. Well, back in the day when you went to record stores or Best Buy, you even if you didn't know the band and you had like, oh, that's a cool, cover. Who are they?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to discuss the band Tool and how we listened to them religiously back in our teenage days. But I'll let Matt start because you got into Tool before I did.
Okay.
Because I think you turned me, I think it was either you or radio, I can't remember, but I'll let you start your experience with the band Tool.
Picture this. 1998? Yes, 1998. A friend of mine and I were discussing music, and he brought up the band Tool. And he said that they only believe in two things, and that is Satan and butt sex. I heard Stinkfist on the radio. So because Easter was coming up, my family was weird. They would give you people did the Easter egg hunts. They'd give you candy. We'd get like something. So like a CD wouldn't be that like crazy. So I got Anima, right? For years I said enema because I assumed that's what it meant, was like the enema. There you go, right there. That was sitting in an Easter basket, celebrating the Christian holiday. And on that Easter, like, I had the Discman. Remember Discmans? We need to do one just about Discmans, but I was listening to it, and my dad wanted to take me and my brother golfing, and I just wasn't into it. I wanted to listen to the CD. Yeah, that was on it. I'm surprised that got past my parents somehow. But yeah, so that's in the Discman. And you're listening to that, and like your dad and mom are around you, the Discman will pop open, and it's that. So I didn't want to golf. I think my dad ended up getting mad at me because it was like an insult that I didn't want to go golfing, and I just wanted to listen to that album. And it was compelling and interesting from beginning to end. And that was my introduction into Tool. And then we eventually met. And
I forgot about this one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And don't forget there's a Bill Hicks picture in there.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks.
But this to a 13, 14-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Is like
I thought
everything.
I was the most dangerous man in the world with that. I am a bad. Hey, kids, you want to see this? I mean, yeah. You don't have that kind of effect on albums anymore because it's all streaming. I mean, you need like basically one like poster pick pretty much for the album.
Right.
But a lot of effort was put into that. And that was probably like their biggest mainstream album. I know you don't want to do stats, but it was probably the one before that, Undertow, was like pretty much their big breakthrough. But that was like next level shit right there. So
yeah, this started them on down the path as becoming an art rock or art metal band.
Well, I mean, you had Opiate and Undertow, and those are some gritty hard rock albums, and so they're pretty much playing pretty gritty hard rock shows. They're playing Ozfest or touring with some heavy stuff, and this was what you would say prog rock. I mean, I don't like labeling stuff, but it's became more of like a kind of a trippy kind of thing versus an aggressive, dirty, ugly of the previous two albums, which is fine, but this got a more radio play, and then the video is on MTV, made by guitarist Adam Jones, or again next level shit. Those will grab you right here, make you feel really uncomfortable, real trippy. A lot of claymation. Would you say? What is that, like claymation?
I think claymation was the first two. So Sober and Prison Sex were claymation, weren't they?
That's those are off Undertow.
Yeah.
That was yeah.
So for the music videos for Anima, they were very artistic, but I think those were like Stinkfist had like the people. I always remember like the people and the I don't know,
It was like
I can only visualize the big fat kid at the end with like with the weird eyes, but there was so much more on that video, but I can't remember that one right now. It's just all visual. It had like nothing to do with the song, at least like I'm sure, you know, metaphorically it did, but in terms of like following the lyrics.
Yeah. Back like when MTV played music videos and you would have MTV on randomly and all of a sudden that'd come on, you'd be like, holy crap.
Oh God. Yeah.
Holy crap. But Adam Jones has worked on like movies and stuff. He's a professional, what do you call it? Movie guy. I don't know. But
just artist. Yeah, he worked on a lot of movies before that.
Like legit stuff. Like
I think he worked on Stan Winston's team, and Stan Winston did like puppets, like anything that was before CGI. There was actually like
right. You know, well, it seems like Hellraiser, like, but I don't think he worked on Hellraiser. Have you seen the Hellraiser movies?
Yeah, it did seem like a lot out of Hellraiser. Yeah.
But
so I think Anima was my first Tool album, and Anima was a lot of kids, at least our age, we'll say kids, whatever we were, teenagers, their first dip into the Tool pool. And then it also turned a lot of people on to Bill Hicks. And I got into Bill Hicks because of that. The great late Bill Hicks. Man, what if Bill Hicks was alive right now?
He'd be losing his shit. If you don't know who Bill Hicks is, he was an ultra extreme, I'd say liberal comedian, advocated drug use, and he would open for Tool at a few shows, I believe, or toured with them. He would do a stand-up set. But he's got a lot of albums out. You gave me or burned me some, right? I mean, I had some.
Yeah, I think I bought all of them. I have them somewhere.
He's a pretty angry guy. And he pretty much is, I would say, polarizing. Like, if you don't think like him, or at least entertain that.
Yeah. Like the 90s, late 80s, 90s George Carlin.
Yeah.
That'd be a fair assessment.
But he passed during the Tool era. Like, he passed like after Anima. Or was he still alive?
Before, because they dedicated it to him. So after being, Anima was 96-ish, and then we didn't get another album until 2001.
That's after we met.
Which was
sophomore year.
Lateralis.
I meant 7th grade.
Ooh. Huh?
I meant 7th grade.
7th grade.
I dated ourselves just now.
That's all right. Now this was my first like huge into Tool album. I still love this album. I think this is one of the best albums that's ever made. I love this one so much. And really cool artwork as well. The first like trippy God, who was the guy that did this? Son of a gun.
Not Alex Jones.
Not Alex Jones. It's Alex something.
Yeah, Alex Jones did the artwork.
Gosh darn it. Alex Gray.
I know who you mean.
Alex Gray.
Yeah.
But I remember going to school late to drive to another state to get this as soon as Best Buy opened.
I remember that.
I was late for school.
I somehow obtained it, but I obtained it like later that day, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't miss school for it. I don't think I had that luxury.
It was something that a lot of Tool fans were eagerly awaiting.
Well, look at the years, though. You said 96, then 2001. That's a 5-year gap.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, I mean, little did we know that gap was no gap compared to what was coming. But for 5 years is a big deal still. So people were like, oh, my God, oh, my God. I mean, it was a big deal. And you talk about videos, that Schism video, that was like probably like 2001 MTV. You had TRL, you had the NSYNC people going crazy. New metal was like still was blowing up, Limp Bizkit, Korn, and then here comes Tool with their creepy fucking video after 5 years. It was cool.
Which is so funny because, like, yeah, Schism was like #1 for a long time. Like, it was overplayed, and I think that's the worst song on the album. I don't know if it's for that reason. Probably. It was because it was burnt out, but yeah. And then that was the first Tool tour that I saw. Was that your first one too? Yeah, I know we went together.
We were in the we were on the floor.
On the floor.
Yeah.
I just remember, man, that one as well was one of my favorite tours. Like that time seeing Tool, that album, the visuals and
they opened with Grudge.
Yeah, they opened with Grudge, and I just remember the what's the 3-song, the trilogy, Disposition, Reflection, Triad.
I remember people are getting mad though, because they had those 2 guys or whatever from the video, like crawling across on a big rope across the stage, and maybe it was one person yelling, "Play some fucking music."
Yeah.
Which is a complete crazy jam out session. I mean, we had a similar thing at 9 Inch Nails. If you're at that one with me and my brother, where some guy was yelling during like some instrumental thing.
Yeah.
Why'd you go? I don't know.
Right. You should have stayed at home.
It was like 15 minutes though. It was like a long fucking.
Oh yeah.
But that's what Tool became. They weren't the dirty, gritty hard rock band anymore. They completely transformed into the Pink Floyd of our generation. Maybe.
That was the beginning of like the 12, 13 song set list.
Yeah.
That started to dwindle down the older they got.
And I mean, Schism was like over 6 minutes. And from what I know about radio, you don't want 6-minute songs. Little did we know that was nothing compared to what was coming when they dropped 8-minute songs on people. They kept just pushing the bar and see how far they can make it. But they could, because they had such a huge cult following, still do. Yes, they do.
So yeah, there was. So this one had 13 songs. But like I said, like those last 3, and then it had that Art Bell, that radio show where like it was supposed to be an alien invasion.
Yeah, Art Bell, Coast to Coast. It was a syndicated show on from like midnight, various times, like based on time zones, but it was all about supernatural monsters and stuff. And that was a call from Area 51 that aired on his show. His show went off the air during it. I've heard the exact like audio like on YouTube, but they can't explain why they went off the air. Something took them off the air.
So this is before YouTube and before internet. Or
right.
It was like,
we're like, holy
pre-internet,
shit.
Pre-internet. So it's like, is this real?
Now we see that every day. Like I've seen that like every 5 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, I think during that stage, and then that made me go back and buy Undertow and Opiate. Can't remember if I did that during Anima, but I think like Ladder House definitely like made me a huge Tool fan.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it was very big on the mainstream level, because it had been 5 years and people were in. I mean, an album like that was in high demand, and it got more experimental, but it still was like, you saw bits of Anima in there and shit with their style and stuff. Mm-hmm. But then after that, you had 10,000 Days.
So in between that, you had a lot of.
But another 5 years.
I don't remember the news. All I remember, because that was Perfect Circle days, right? In between those two.
I believe he did a Perfect Circle either before that or during that, because
it was before, because
he toured with 9 Inch Nails, remember? And that was like 2000. That was before.
Yeah, Perfect Circle. I was still in high school, so 10,000 Days was definitely after high school. Yeah, 3rd grade.
I remember Perfect Circle came first, because I remember listening to the radio and the guy being like, "This is the guy from Tool and stuff, blah blah blah." So I'm like, okay. I know
So
Tool.
I can't remember if the news was like if Tool broke up or if they were on a hiatus or if it was just, hey, here's another band.
I think
I
it was
can't
just
remember
like
it.
the band,
Yeah.
and it got more. It was. I mean, obviously they're good, but it got a lot of attention because of Maynard
Mm-hmm.
and the love of Tool.
So 10,000 Days. I think I have this one. This was one where they started to lose me a little bit.
Started to lose a lot of people.
Wasn't a big fan of this album.
Well, there's a rumor that
Almost had the same visuals too, kind of.
there's a rumor that like 6 of
Matches your
those
background.
songs they actually made, and the rest are just nonsense because they're just half-assing it. That Maynard made some comment like that.
Yeah, I think this doesn't even have a track listing. I don't even remember how many tracks were on this. But this was 2001. This came out in 2006.
Yeah, I was. I'm not gonna say where I was anymore. No, still.
So there's another 5-year gap, and Vicarious was the single.
That's 7 minutes, over 7 minutes.
But I love that tune. That was a great track.
Yeah. I love Rosetta Stone. I love Jambi. There's some good songs, but then there's like about 5 of kind of like nonsense songs.
Oh, and The Pot too. The Pot's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like you said. So how many? That's 4 or 5, and Right in 2.
Yeah.
So I mean, still good songs. Just I don't know if that was just a gap. I mean, from Anima, which was when we started, to this is 10 years ish. 10 years. So I don't know if like the hype machine ate them up because you just waited so long and just you wanted to love it so much and you got it. It's like I don't know if that's what I expected, but.
Well, I think at that time, like you can't wait. People can't wait that long anymore. You can't wait 5 years in between albums, and I think like they're getting a new crowd too, like people who are like too young for Anima and too young for Lateralis are now becoming like old enough for this, and they're just like, I don't know, it's an 8-minute song. I mean,
yeah. So did you see this tour?
Yeah. Now I saw it in St. Louis, and it was good. It was it was good. They played the key songs off of 10,000 Days. We pretty much just listed them. And then about a few songs off Anima and a few songs off Lateralis. Now, my brother saw them at Lollapalooza. This is 2009 in Lollapalooza. And he said it was like only 7 songs, but it was like an hour and a half.
Well, yeah, this is when they started to lose me live.
You saw them in Amsterdam, didn't you?
I saw them in Amsterdam, front row.
Yeah.
Front row. And they had a really cool, like, white stage. I remember it was just like a white stage. It was kind of simple, but it was just very artsy. I don't even think they had a video wall behind them. And I was just like, not bored, but like not really, I didn't get anything out of it. And I was front stage, like front and center. But I think there was that reason. It's like they only played 9 or 10 songs and 3 or 4 of them were new stuff.
Right.
So when you're a huge fan, you're like, oh, I want you to play like all these great songs, and you pay all this money and do, but then I think it took like an hour train ride, which is whatever. It is what it is.
Man, I'm in Amsterdam and I saw
but I think it was just the beginning of that. Like, happens a lot unless you're seeing a band that plays 3 hours, and when you're a fan for that long and there's so many great songs you want them to play. But Tool is like, normally bands you'll get like 15 songs, if you're lucky. Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is they didn't play during that time. They had pretty much the same set list for like a few years when they were touring. It was those 5 or 6 songs off 10,000 Days, then a few off Anima and a few off Lateralis. It was almost like the same set list guaranteed, and they wouldn't play anything off their first 2 albums pretty much. I never saw any songs off Undertow. So you're seeing pretty much the same show every time. And a lot of people who don't feel the same way we do, they don't like the non-movement of Maynard hiding, him hiding in the background and it just being basically watching a screen. So if you're not into the music, it can be very boring, possibly.
Well, not even that, but just like you said, like the fans are just want to hear Stinkfist and Prison Sex, and they show up and they get 4 of the 10-minute new songs that aren't even on radio.
Right.
And then you get Anima and Lateralis, and you might get Sober, and you might get another one, and that's pretty much it. It's like, oh, okay. So half of it was great, and half of it was just.
And songs that are like on the album that are like 7 or 8 minutes live, add like 3 or 4 minutes to that, because it's just going to go on and on and on and on.
Like I do remember Rosetta Stone it dragged on way too long, because I'm not a huge fan of that song. It's okay, but live I remember vivid, like it's like, okay, we get it.
Oh, Schism would be a guarantee.
Yeah.
So like the songs you'd get would be like Schism, Lateralis, and then you'd get Anima and Stinkfist probably, and maybe like Eulogy. Those would be like the songs you'd get every time. And then Rosetta Stone, Vicarious, The Pod, and Jambi, and maybe like that other song.
So at that time they're pretty much doing it for them, which is fine, but that's just the path they took. So to the hardcore Tool fans, of course, but the lesser, the there for, I kind of liked them back in the day, to, oh, I like one song, you're going to lose them.
Well, for some reason, you put out an album, you tour off the album. They just kept playing off that album for years. Like, that Lollapalooza show, that should have been like the greatest hits of all time. Not just, it's like they're playing off their album that has been out for 3 years. It's just weird. It's kind of.
Right. Well, so how many times did you see them after that? After 10,000 days to, that's what Tool's known for. They just come to town. No album, no new song. They would just, okay, so why, that's why I kind of stopped seeing them. It's like, I've already seen these songs, which is, I guess that shows, either I wasn't a big fan of them later on, but you would go see them. And I remember, I think I would text you every time, hey, how was it? And if I remember correctly, like the closer to the last album, you're like, it sucked, or it was just, the crowd sucked. They didn't play hardly any songs, but the last couple times you said they were great.
Well, I've only seen them a couple times since then. One was at the Chaffetz, and there was no album even being spoken of at that time. Of course, like, oh my God. That's where I, started realizing the whole stigma of Tool fans being garbage people, because it was just like rude, trashy people in Tool shirts. I don't give a shit, man. Blog us or whatever, comment. I mean, subscribe to this and all that. I don't care. But I mean, it was like blatant, like everyone was smoking weed, and that doesn't bother me. But it was just like the blatancy of it bothered me, where everyone was just like passing shit, and it was just like, we don't care, versus like, yeah, we're trying to have a good time. It was rude. There's people talking. Me and my brother went, and it was a hot show. And that'll lead me to my next point about why I'm mad at Tool. So it sells out in a few seconds. He has a ticket, like seats in front of me. A few rows in front of me. I'm back. But just everyone's just talking. People are getting up. It's just like a garbage atmosphere. And this is supposed to be some artsy Pink Floyd band. So they opened with No Quarter, and that was an odd opening thing. That was off Saliva. Remember that? That came out during our day. But they opened with No Quarter, which I was a little, I mean, I wouldn't look at set lists. Certain bands I won't look at set lists like in other cities prior. So I'm like, what the fuck is this, kind of, And then it was just the greatest hits thing. They played Opiate, which I never saw before. That was besides their usual. But it was Lateralis. It was 10,000 Days. It was Anima. Like a handful of songs off those with No Quarter and Opiate. And it was really expensive, and it was just a bunch of garbage people, spilling beers, people sitting in the wrong seats. Like, it's like, if you've never been to a concert before, I mean, I guess there are some shows in various markets I've worked in on the radio where you can just walk in and sit anywhere, especially at the big festivals. But like, just people sitting in the wrong seats. It was just blatantly happening all the time. I might have even had to tell people to move. It gives me anxiety, but it made me go, like, what is with his like fan base here? Like, what is with this fan base? Then I saw him again, and it was like maybe a few years ago, and that's when, oh God, new album's coming out. Played 2 new songs off Fear Inoculum, and that's
the one we went to, just not together, but
it was more classy. It was more. I noticed. I guess maybe they were more strict there, but there was no people were not being like just classless idiots like they were at the
Well, there
other
was a big gap, wasn't there?
It's a few year gap, few years.
2 years? Okay. I mean, for me,
But,
yeah, because that was the first time I saw him since 10,000 Days tour.
but
So it was almost 10 years at least.
both shows were good shows. I think like the No Quarter sounded weird. His vocals sounded weird on that. It didn't match up. But both shows sounded good. It seemed like with the second show that you were at, people were kind of not interested in the new stuff. Where they're like going to the bathroom. It's like, oh my god, the new stuff. Check it out. That's where it's like you guys are just trash people. Like you don't care. You're just here to party and act like
but
you're busy when you're not.
That's common though.
But they don't act. But Tool. It's Tool fans. It's Tool's. It's deep. It's meaningful. It's like, is it? There's like people pissing on the floor in the bathroom. Is it really that meaningful?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I was kind of appalled. And maybe I'm getting older and not cool. But I'm a pretty lenient guy, so it must have been pretty goddamn bad. Like,
you're talking about the last one or the one before?
The one of the Shafits. That was where I was like, Jesus. Like, who are you people?
I was going to say I was pleasantly surprised by the last tour.
Me too.
Pleasantly surprised. I was kind of like, I wasn't even my idea to go. I probably wouldn't go if it was up to me and we have to mention that they jumped the shark on the price tickets.
And they sell out in a minute. They don't do anything about scammers.
It's like, I'm going to pay $100 plus to see Tool play 10 songs. It's like, I wasn't really thrilled, but my buddy never saw me. I was like, let's go. I'm like,
6 songs are over already, pretty much. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
but it just seemed like they were genuinely, at least the guitarists, they were like, energetic. At least Chancellor was.
Yeah.
Because he was on my side. He was rocking out. And he was just like, before, like, Tool was just like, they're just going to stand up there.
Yeah.
Maynard's in the back, barely moving. But yeah, like, Maynard kind of joked. And what else was there? I don't know. Just, they like waved afterwards. I don't know. Before, they were just, like, when we saw them, like, oh, they're this deep, mysterious band. And, they come out and they play and they don't say anything. That's another thing. They don't even talk to the crowd. Or they'll say, hey, some weird thing. They'll say some weird thing and then go to the next song. And they'll do that twice. But I feel like he talked a little more than usual.
Well, they were anti-phone. They're a big anti-phone. If you have a phone out, you're going to jail pretty much. You're going to Tool jail. And at the last song, he let everyone pull their phone out. I remember that. That showed like a humanity in him.
Yeah.
So he's anti-phone. I mean, people were getting thrown out by me. That was one thing I did notice, where people were pulling out their phones and like ushers were coming up to them. And it's like, wow, okay. Last place was, I'm sure it was the same at the Shafit show, but I just didn't see that many violations. It seemed like at the, what is it called? The Enterprise Center, it seemed like they're enforcing it, like no phones. Like, don't even bring it out.
It's a Maynard thing because that's how it was when we saw Perfect Circle. Were we both at that show?
Which one?
Perfect Circle at Shafit's, the last one.
Yeah.
Weren't they no phone? Even though I recorded it anyway. Yeah.
But people were doing it. Maybe the Shafit's is just more lax.
Maybe.
But it seems like the Scotch trade or whatever the hell it's called is going to change tomorrow. Like, they were like, no phones. Like, no phones. Like, it was serious.
You will be arrested.
Yeah, it's like
you'll be prosecuted.
You can smoke or vape weed, but don't pull your phone out. Like,
yeah.
I have a problem with Tool because those tickets get bought up in like a minute, and they don't do anything about it. Other bands have taken steps, like Nine Inch Nails. When their tickets went on sale to their last tour, you had to buy them face to face for like the first week. You had to go there and buy them. Maynard has done dick about trying to curb scalping. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He's in it for the money. He's got to pay for his grapes for his next batch of wine next year.
His bald head wax.
Yeah. Okay, so how many years later? 2006 to 2019. What's the math there? 4, 9, 13 years?
23 years.
23 years.
Wait, no.
13 years.
Yeah. Feels like 23.
You got Fear Inoculum.
Yeah.
The long awaited. And I don't
feel that's half-assed. I like it.
Okay, I was just gonna say I will let you give your not review, but your 2 cents on it.
I think it's got I think it's a solid album. It's got like 4 standout really, really great tracks. I think it's a coherent album. I don't think like there's like nonsense songs like there is with 10,000 Days.
I don't own that one, so I can't show a visual. Sorry, I mean to interrupt.
Do
you own that? Did you buy that?
Yeah, it's on my phone.
But
Also,
you buy the physical,
no.
the one that costs $150
Are
or
you trying to get
whatever.
me like kicked out of the Tool Club or
The
whatever?
Tool Army?
Tool Army?
No.
I uh I think it's great. I was pleasantly surprised. When I heard Fear Inoculum as their single, I was kind of like, eh. And when I heard the songs live, I couldn't really focus on them because again, people were getting up and like taking a piss or going to smoke or whatever. And then I watched some YouTube clips of them at festivals playing the new songs, and I'm kind of like, okay. But once I listened to it a few times, like from beginning to end, it's an epic ride. It's
Hmm.
an epic ride, and it's like stuff that's like you could take. Okay, so say like it's their worst album, which I'm not saying either. It's still better than the fucking best whatever newest song that came out or newest album rock album that came out that year. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Like Slipknot released an album that year. I'm not comparing that. I'm not going to get in that debate. Okay, it's personal taste. I'm saying you take Tool and you compare that to a new band's like album. It doesn't stand the test of time
Well,
like that album does. Like it's
and it
quality.
got general. It passed the social media test. I feel like
Who would have thought? Who would have
who would
thought?
have thought? I thought for sure that it was going to
Yeah,
get crapped on, but the
yeah.
critics loved it. The people loved it. At least the it's not like I scour the internet all day, but at least from what I saw, it
It
was
was generally favorable.
yeah. Because I predicted this, like, oh my god, this is just it's going to get destroyed. It's just going to be the more people hyped over it, and then it dropped and like, oh my god, this isn't Tool, which I'm sure they're definitely negative, tweets or
But
whatever.
those people will be negative about Tool regardless. They just
Right.
are either negative in general or they just don't like Tool.
But
So
shoot, didn't like all the reviewers give it like 10 out of 10 or 5? Like it was almost perfect reviews.
it was almost like there was a consensus, like you better give it a good review.
Hey, there could have been a Tool Mafia involved. Who knows? Not
Honestly,
that
though,
they
like,
would care. I don't think they would care. Their PR, I mean, they just care about money at this point. So as long as the album sells. But wasn't that hand in hand with the Spotify deal? Like didn't Spotify come right before it?
they did before that. They released their entire catalog on Spotify like a week prior or a couple weeks prior. So all the little pukes got to check out Tool on Spotify. And I don't know if that was a business decision or what, where they held out, if there was a legal reason why they didn't do it. But it just worked out perfectly when they basically exposed everybody. They put themselves on streaming, and then like the next week their album drops. Like it was genius. Like
Oh, that was a plan. But yeah, you're right. I don't know if there was legal issues or not. I thought there was, but I'm not gonna talk about it because we don't know.
I know I know we're talking about better days and not 2020, but the album has just been certified gold.
That's not bad
That's like
for.
platinum back in the day.
I
So
know it's like yeah, it's like
yeah.
comparative to platinum. If it
So what rock albums are going gold right now? I mean, there's still. I mean, I know we always argue that there's no one else taking the torch, but like Tool still has it as far as like. I mean, that was good for rock. It was a good year. You had Slipknot. You had Tool. You had I mean, making number 1 debuts on the Billboard charts when it's full of pop and rap. I mean, it was like 1999 again. Korn had an
party,
album out.
yeah, yeah. So
1990.
that's you kind of summed it up, but I didn't. I don't have, and I hate to say it, like I can't sit and listen to an hour-long album and like I used to, like I could used to. So I only listened to the album like front and back, like it's like when it came out for sure, but only a couple times. But what I heard, I loved. It was definitely a journey, and I felt like I shouldn't skip ahead. That's
Yes.
what I owe that to Tool, except for the God, I always forget it. What's the song with the number in it? What's it pronounced?
You know what? I really
Number.
don't know. And I'm done like mispronouncing Tool stuff. I mean, I worked on the radio and I probably said it wrong a million times. But it's like a
New
13-minute song. It's like Tempest or something.
Tempest.
Yeah, it's like that's
There's a
crazy
7 in it.
song. It's
Yeah,
crazy
that's
song.
definitely my favorite song. There's a couple. I think in I got to pull up on my computer. Numa.
Yes, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Numa and Tempest. Like when you listen to it, it's like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
like this. This and
And, and for,
those are the longest. Those are no Invincible's no shoot. So here's the time. Tempest is the longest at 15 minutes.
yes, that's a
Uh,
crazy song. And that's
and
like
you
a
got
Undertow kind of.
yeah, and you got Fear Inoculum at 10:20, Numa at 11:53, Invincible at 12:44, Descending at 13:39, and Culling Voices at 10:05.
Wow.
And then you got that like the trip, the chocolate chip trip.
Yeah.
This is pretty much Danny Carey doing percussion, and but yeah.
When
Like,
Fear Inoculum was released, a single, people were kind of shitting on it, but when they put it together with the whole album, it is more like it fits better versus like, here's your latest hit from Tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And it's that, like, I really, like, once I listened to it on Spotify, I'm like, I need to buy this, and then, you know, attention span and didn't. But I thought like they were only issuing a certain amount of physical copies,
Yes.
and it was like bundled in like $100. Like, I'm gonna spend $100 on that. Sorry.
It was $45 for like a box set.
So 45, that's not bad. But I think there was like a deluxe edition. Whatever I saw was like $100. Maybe that was
It's
like
sold
something.
out. It's sold out. Like, because they only made a limited amount, people were like, I gotta have it, gotta have it. Like the music aficionados, gotta have it, gotta have it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Tool.
We probably won't get another album out of them. We might. They've talked about
Maybe.
working on music.
What do they got? I mean, I guess Maynard's still doing Wine, but
He's doing Pussifer now.
Pussifer next.
Yeah, I used to go to tour in the fall. I mean, we had tickets to go see Tool, or I did. Did you have tickets to see the new one, the latest one?
No, in Rolla, or where was it at?
It was in St. Louis.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was coming in June.
Oh, that's right. No, I didn't.
You weren't going to go. So after all this time, you would not go see Tool. Really? Wow.
I already saw. I mean, if that's kind of my point.
They probably play off Fear Inoculum though, more hopefully.
Yeah.
You get 5 songs off Fear Inoculum, then like 2 songs off Lateralis, 2 songs off.
I'm not. That's my point. Like, I'm not paying $100 to see. You know. And that's another thing. Like, in this day and age, like, it's a terrible way to think, but you know, it's like I can go on YouTube and watch these songs. Just like you said, you got to deal with the price for admission. You got to deal with the fans. You got to deal with, you know, everything else, parking, and, you know, it's getting old, of course. You know, these aren't we're in trying times with our money. It's a sad. I don't envy anybody that, you know, has to make it as a musician nowadays, but that's my take on it. You know, I've seen Tool many times. If I can go on YouTube, even though they've never released an official concert recording of any type.
Isn't Saliva the official concert, or it has some live tracks on it?
Not video. There's no video. I don't think I've ever seen. I'll go back on YouTube to see. I don't think I've ever seen a concert video, a professional made concert video from Tool. Saliva had like music videos.
I thought you had one that we watched. It was like really poor quality.
Yeah, it was bootleg.
Okay.
That was back in the day. I bought it off eBay. It was a videotape. I still got it somewhere.
Have you heard of this? I'm not doing This Is Your Life, Tool or whatever. But they formed in 1990, and there was a demo tape. They say demos are intended just for record labels. You're in a band, is that true? When you make a demo tape?
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
They've sold this demo tape. They eventually started selling it. It was before Opiate.
Yeah, it's a bunch of numbers.
72826.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
No. Oh yeah. I have. It's on YouTube.
Is it like on Spotify? I mean, I want to hear that.
It's not an official release.
No, it's not.
It's the songs off Opiate. It's just, but they're demos.
Oh, for real?
They're just like recorded and like it's like a one take. I think it's either that. I don't. There might be one unreleased song, but a lot of it's just songs from Opiate and Undertow. I think Sober might be on there. But they're just like early versions.
So they made that for the labels, and then they just said, "Let's sell this," and then eventually they made the albums.
Yeah, but even Opiate was like three like officially recorded songs, and then 2 live tracks.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Opiate was live, wasn't it, the song?
No, it wasn't Opiate. It was Jerk Off and and Cold and Ugly, which is probably one of my favorite Tool songs. Like just gritty. Cold. I think that's what it was. Is like those songs as demos and not live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll make one final thing. Do you think Maynard hates his fans? Have you heard that? Where he thinks people are stupid and like it's not deep. It's just like Satan and butt sex, just something stupid like that. You know,
You mean like all like troll, like the original
like a song
trolling?
called "Jerk Off." Like, I mean, is that really like a Pink Floyd deep hippie kind of band? Like, I mean,
Oh yeah, well that was that's their beginnings. I think they
I
just
know, but
started
like,
as everything's tongue in cheek and everything's, shoot, their first music video they were naked in it. Wasn't that
I
the
don't.
um I don't know. I think that they started in the early '90s, and that was kind of the thing. It was just a big fu to corporate, and then
Hard rock, aggressive.
and the labels ate they ate it up, and so they just like pushed the envelope, and they kept pushing the envelope.
But eventually they started making 8-minute songs.
Yep, with titles you can't even pronounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, Invincible. I think that's the and Calling Voices and Descending. Everything else is Numa and something in French and Legion Inoculate and Tempest with a 7. It's just like a troll, I guess you can call it, or just, I'm gonna call these whatever I want.
Do you think Fear Inoculum was a payday? Do you think they? I mean, it's really good, but do you think they just like are good just by accident?
Well, because I think the music part of it took years,
Yeah.
and then just everything that I've researched after the fact is just Tool and the rest of the band. They're hard to get along. They're hard to, because Maynard wants to come in. I've heard that with Perfect Circle too. The music's ready, and Maynard probably flies in wherever he's from and just does. I'm only here for a day or two or a week or whatever it is, and then he wants to change everything. I thought that's what I read. Like the music's like the guys get the music ready and then they give it to Maynard and he goes, "Oh, that doesn't work. We need to change this." So in terms of, is it a payday? Probably, but isn't everything
I was
now?
watching the drummer at a show on YouTube, just him, just the drummer, like at a concert, but it was just focused on the drummer and playing that Numa song. And man, like if you're phoning it in, you're really I mean, it's just like crazy.
Well,
Just
I think
like,
live, that's a different beast than recording it, but
yeah.
But I think those tours, like nowadays, like they did that tour, like they came to St. Louis, that leg, before the album was released. I think they do that just to pay for like the recording.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they're going to go on tour again to pay for the rest of it.
So what's with the lawsuit, real quick? Why did it take them from 2006 to 2019 to make an album or to release an album?
I don't have the
Artwork.
details.
It was artwork, wasn't it?
It was artwork, but I thought they were sued, or they had some legal issues like way back, because
they had legal issues after Anima.
Because it had something to do with the record label, because the last two were on like Tool Dissectional and Volcano. So Volcano was the first one, because on Lateralis it's Tool Dissectional and Volcano. That's the labels. But on Anima is Zoo Entertainment. No, and Volcano Entertainment. I don't know. Just Google it. Look on Wikipedia. But yeah, then there was something with I think that was something with why they weren't on streaming to begin with. Who knows?
Something to do with like a concert poster or something, that like they used some artwork, or the person who gave them the artwork was like not happy with it, didn't want them using it, some shit like that.
Yeah. See this? I must have bought this before. Oh yeah, they're all cracked. But this has Tool Dissectional. So this isn't an original release. That's a re-release.
Okay.
But I don't know. That is Tool. I'm gonna go listen to some Tool, and I might try find some live stuff on YouTube instead of paying $120 to go see them next year.
Well, yeah, you don't have the option now.
Well, you bought tickets. So did you get your refund, or did you keep it for the date?
Refund.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just sit there in limbo. I don't know if they're gonna do it again. I mean, I think it's scheduled, but I'll take my chances then. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be in a monastery by then. Who knows? So
who knows?
All
right. That is Tool. Better Days. Those are some good days.
They were.
So I don't know what's up next, but we're gonna record these out of order. So I don't know. Check it out, whatever it is.
Yep.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.